limited the fiscal space he's had to operating to get a better standard of living and improve economy for Barbadians.
It is therefore absolutely critical that the fiscal consolidation project is completed, that we get our deficit down to a manageable level of between 1.5 to 2%. That will allow the debt to go on a downward trajectory, because as you grow your economy to the level where it is higher than your fiscal deficit, it means you're not contributing anymore to the growth of debt. That is absolutely critical. Growth cannot be restored in Barbados sustainably at reasonable levels until that particular project has been mastered.
Arguing that the homegrown stabilization program started in August 2013 is beginning to bear fruit, the finance minister says it's impossible to go to a shop and buy growth. He says a stable global economy in which our major trading partners operate is a vital ingredient for success. According to Mr. Sinkler, whenever the major countries up north or the UK are doing well, Barbados will follow suit, adding that the good and exceptional years of growth and investments between 1998 and 2007 are gone.
If the United States does well, we do well. If the UK does well, we do better. If Canada does well, we do well as well. You simply are not going to be able to grow this economy in a sustainable way over time if our major source markets for investment, for tourism, for financial services and international business are not doing well or are unstable. So we need a little bit of luck in our metropolis.
Mr. Sinkler also wants to see productivity levels up, noting that unless this happens, Barbados will continue to experience problems. He's also pledged that come 2016, several taxes imposed recently by government to raise much needed revenue will come to an end, even though replacements could be in the offing.
The government of Barbados has made a commitment, and I believe we should stick to that commitment, that come the end of this current financial year, many of the temporary taxes we implemented in the 90-month program, some of which we extended for another year last year, should be brought to an end, should not continue beyond March 31st, 20. That is our commitment. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, in the preparation of our estimates, we have already begun to factor into those estimates how we are going to manage without those taxes imposed on the society. Now, I haven't said what we're going to replace them with.
Since 2008, Barbados' economy hasn't exceeded growth of 1% in any year, and this year it's projected to grow by 0.5%. Peter Thorne, CBC News.
Peter, thanks, and we'll hear more from the Finance Minister later in the Business Report. Tourism in Barbados continues to look positive, especially going into the winter season. This from Minister Richard Seeley, who is attending the ongoing World Travel Market in London. Mr. Seeley says reports from partners in the major source markets and a significant increase in airlift. These have all combined, according to Tourism Minister Richard Seeley, to give Barbados higher than expected visitor numbers. He says now that there's been modest growth in the US and UK markets, more people are now looking to enjoy their vacations in Barbados. Mr. Seeley adds that Canada is holding its own, even though the economy is having challenges.
We have been focusing heavily on the accommodation sector, on new investment, on the rejuvenation of existing hotel plants. So there's been a number of things happening, and I guess we're quite pleased to see the sort of double-digit increases that we are seeing.
He adds that the presence of Sandals has also had a huge impact.
Sandals, with its large marketing budget, would impact very positively on our numbers, and in particular the big increases we're seeing out of the U.S., where sandals is particularly strong. We have seen in some cases, well, year to date, over 20% increase out of the U.S., and that has a lot to do with the sandals effort. And not only is the marketing, but of course sandals drives demand, and airlift follows that. So the increases that we saw in seat capacity from JetBlue, from Air Canada, etc., that had a lot to do with the presence of sandals.
British Airways is up to 12 flights each week from Gatwick, from where Virgin Atlantic also flies daily, and the carrier will increase to 3 flights out of Manchester soon. He adds that Thomas Cook is now 3 times out of Manchester and will from tomorrow add a weekly flight from Glasgow, Scotland.
Important because even though we do quite well in this UK market, 30% of our business comes from the southeast. So we have to move beyond the greater London area to get more business. So this effort out of Scotland is something actually that I've been trying to make happen for a number of years.
Mr. Seeley says negotiations have also started to get a direct flight out of Ireland.
Barbadians facing challenges meeting their courts payments will soon see a new strategy employed as the Christmas season approaches. This from Managing Director of Unicomer Barbados Limited, trading as courts, Tricia Tannis, as she spoke on the sidelines of the awards ceremony for the Dare to Dream Scholarship Program. Ms. Tannis says collection management will be more friendly since most of their customers have proven to be transparent and financially responsible.
We have heard the feedback about, the calls and so on. And, we're pleased to be rolling out a few initiatives that I think the public will actually appreciate, particularly for those persons who are constant and continual payers, but are just missing their due date by a couple of dates. We're actually going to stop calling those people. We're going to, extend a change in their due date for those persons who are demonstrated that they are regular, but it's just that their due date is a little, off skelter from what they, how they get paid. I think that will go a long way to alleviate a lot of the calling, a lot of the questions and the feedback that we get coming back to us on that score.
Ms. Tannis says courts has been doing better than last year due to the patronage and loyalty of Barbadians. She further added the introduction of the American home furnishing brand Ashley Furniture to the market has posed no threat to courts. She says what it has done is created an awareness of the brand in courts stores. Ms. Tannis says courts has also noticed an improvement from both retail and in-store traffic and has made the necessary adjustments to meet the customer demand.
What we're also doing as well is that we've implemented fairly sophisticated traffic counting technology that allows us to know when people are coming into the store, and that allows us to actually serve them better as far as the deployment of our human resources at that particular point in time. So we've seen both. It's a very good question. We've seen both increases in traffic, and we've been able to convert that traffic better.
The Royal Barbados Police Force requires the public to help them find a man wanted in connection with several serious criminal matters. He is 28-year-old Hainsley DaCosta Brown, also known as Fabian, Jaman or Scruff. His last known address was Jacks Hall, St. George. He is about 5 feet 6 inches tall, of black complexion and has brown eyes. Brown is also wanted for non-appearance at court. Brown is advised he can present himself to the police accompanied by an attorney at law. Any person who may know the whereabouts of Hainsley DaCosta Brown is asked to contact the police emergency at telephone number 211, the nearest police station, or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477. The family of the late Marcel Smith has issued a statement thanking members of the public for their support. Ms. Smith's daughter Tanya says it has been a difficult time for the family.
We would like to express our gratitude and appreciation to the Royal Barbados Police Force for their hard work and dedication thus far to the case of our missing mother, Marcel Smith. At this very difficult time, we're grateful for the love, support, and prayers of our friends and the Barbados public.
The body of 75-year-old Marcel Smith was found in a ravine at Halton Plantation in St. Philip after she was reported missing in mid-October. The car she was driving was discovered about a week after she disappeared along Charleston Park, St. Michael. 36-year-old Sheriff Ricardo Omar Ince of Nursery Number 2, 4 Roads, St. Philip, has since been charged with her murder. We'll have more news ahead, but first we want to get your take on this question. Do you think enough companies are trying to help loan defaulters? Text yes or no to short code 8111. We'll have the results for you at the end of the news.
So what's your idea of holiday happiness? Watching the kids open presents? Cooking in our new kitchen? The look on his face. Add to your holiday happiness with a loan from Scotiabank, and you could win a trip for 2 to Miami and other great prizes. Visit your Scotiabank branch today and talk to a representative about getting your loan. Contest ends January 15th. Conditions apply. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
Here comes a very special time of the year. You're dreaming of the colors that will be everywhere. Harris is your first choice. Color your Christmas.
Make Harris Bakes your first choice this Christmas for a whole lot less. There's 20% off Perma, 25% off kitchen and bathroom, and 30% off all Ultima Plus paints, plus the ever-durable Trouble Tex Natural for just $98. So dream in color this Christmas with Harris Bakes, the Caribbean champions of color.
Harris is your first choice. Color your Christmas. Pop, pop.
Good morning. On the Monday edition of Morning Barbados, we take the opportunity to cook up something fantastic on the outside. We'll also be spending some time with our good friends from St. John. You know how it is. A parish ambassador's work is never done.
And speaking of cooking, we're going to open the pages of an interesting cookbook making its rounds among the classrooms of Barbados. And of course, Peter's pet peeve with all those things that's driving you crazy.
And if you're looking for some fast cash, you need to be watching Morning Barbados
Monday, so join us.
It's that time of the year again for Ahead of the Game. As the nation's students do battle, will Grantley Adams win the standoff against Lesterbond and Alexandra? Or will Lesterbond triumph over its opponents? Or will it be the Alexandra all the way? You'll be bowled over with this one. Join me, Sean Green, this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. for this year's edition of Ahead of the Game.
The Barbados Coalition of Service Industries is providing school children with the knowledge they need to make sound career choices. It's doing so through an education forum, part of activities for the upcoming National Services Week. Executive Director of the BCSI, Lisa Cummins, says the coalition chose this option because many third and fourth formers are only being channeled towards traditional careers.
We need to make sure that we position our children from the earliest possible opportunity to make those choices based on access to information, and this session is one of them. So every year in NSW there is always a strong youth component, and we incorporate youth in some way that allows them to be exposed to some of the services that we're focusing on at a national level.
Prison Fellowship Barbados will again be bringing smiles to several children whose fathers are incarcerated this Yuletide season. It will be doing so through its Angel Tree program launched at the Divi South Winds Beach Resort. It's an initiative of Prison Fellowship International and Prison Fellowship Barbados to care for the children and families of current prisoners and former prisoners. Chairman of the Barbados chapter, Win Callender, says family life is disrupted when men and women are incarcerated. Some, he says, are even languishing in prison for years without having their cases heard. Mr. Callender says Prison Fellowship Barbados is committed to children, stressing they are important and must be nurtured.
Children have to be taught. Children have to be shown the way that is right for them to follow that way. And that is why over the years we have focused on children. That is why over the years, without letting up, Prison Fellowship has continued to provide books and food and clothing and stuff for children of incarcerated persons.
Family life consultant Reverend Hainsley Griffith questioned whether delinquency and other bad habits are as a result of poor parenting. He reminded the home is the first institution to shape a child. Reverend Griffith also suggested children today are faced with several challenges.
Today, our children are faced with the horrors within their homes, challenges within their churches, confusion within their culture, stress within their schools, and lameness from their leaders. They're drawn into the subtle embrace of drug lords, pedophiles, pornography, seduced and often won over by foreign cultures that dump their immoral garbage into the faces via the social media, music, and mixed messages. They are viewed as products by some for display and not persons to develop.
Roberts Manufacturing Company Limited will soon be expanding the markets where its sunflower olive oil spread is sold. That's the word from Chief Executive Officer Jason Zambrano. He was speaking to CBC News on the sidelines of the NIFCA Culinary Arts Press Conference, where he said the product has been well received in Trinidad and Tobago.
We do plan to launch our product in Trinidad, which is obviously one of our bigger markets due to the population. And then we plan to branch out into our other strategic markets where we have strong branding, the OECS. Right now, we're even looking at possibly going into Jamaica, but we'll have to see how that works out in terms of being able to launch a product there. But we've had a lot of good interest in the product, especially since the olive oil spread and since a lot of the imports that come from extra-regional places are very expensive. It's a very low-cost alternative, but gives the same health benefits.
Well, this year's Hennessy Artistry will be the most attractive ever. That's according to the show's promoters. They're banking on the presence of the show's main act, U.S. singer and songwriter Keisha Cole. One of the directors of Fast 7 star, Alison Hunt, says securing the headliner took years. She was speaking during the launch of the show in the presence of sponsors and the media at Kensington Oval.
Very excited about Keisha. I spoke to her last week, and she is so excited about visiting the island that she's coming in early and staying late. So some of you probably will have the opportunity of seeing her, you know, enjoying the island and what we have to offer here in Barbados.
Patrons will be treated to performances from a number of reggae artists, including Jack Cure, Anthony B. and Pop Can. Director of Fast Entertainment, Freddie Hill, says the show would not be complete without performances from local artists. Now, this year is a special one for sponsor Hennessy, as it will be celebrating its 250th anniversary. Well, still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region. But first, a reminder that we want to hear from you on this question. Do you think enough companies are trying to help loan defaulters? Text yes or no to short code 8111.